Okay, picture this. You wake up, you grab an acai bowl for breakfast. At lunch, you wash down your meal with a bubble tea, and by 3 in the afternoon, you crack open an energy drink just to survive the rest of your day. Normal Tuesday, right? Here's the thing, nobody told you. Every single one of those foods came from the same place. And it's not California, it's not Japan, it's not some lab in Switzerland. It's Brazil. And I don't mean inspired by Brazil. I mean born there, grown there, domesticated by indigenous peoples there, thousands of years before anyone else even knew these things existed. This is the story of 5 foods the world stole from Brazil and then completely forgot where they came from. Let's start with the one you probably think you know, acai. Walk into any cafe in Los Angeles, Miami, or New York, and you'll find an acai bowl on the menu. It's a $2 billion global industry. Instagram is drowning in them. They come topped with granola, drizzled with honey, arranged so pretty you almost don't want to eat them. But here's what your favorite smoothie shop won't tell you. For thousands of years, acai wasn't a health trend. It was survival food.
The Açaí palm grows wild across the Amazon basin, tall, slender trees clustered along riverbanks. For the indigenous peoples of the region, the berry wasn't a superfood. It was just food. They'd mash the pulp and eat it with cassava flour and fish. No granola, no honey, no Instagram. And it stayed that way for centuries.
So how did a staple food from the Amazon end up in a $12 bowl in Santa Monica? That story starts with a fist. In the 1980s, a man named Carlos Gracie, one of the founders of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, had a problem. His fighters needed fuel, something dense, natural, packed with energy, and Gracie landed on acai. He started blending frozen acai pulp with banana and feeding it to his athletes in Rio de Janeiro. Picture it. Tanned, ripped martial artists eating purple bowls on the beach in Copacabana. It didn't take long for surfers and fitness crowds to catch on. But acai had a big limitation. The berries rot within 24 hours of being picked. You couldn't ship them anywhere. For decades, acai was basically trapped inside Brazil. Then, in the early 2000s, 2 American surfers traveled to Brazil, tasted acai for the first time, and thought, we need to bring this home. They figured out how to freeze-dry the pulp, founded a company called Sambazon, and started shipping it to Southern California and Hawaii, and then it exploded.
16,000%. That's how much Brazil's acai exports grew in just 1 decade.
From a river berry that indigenous families had been eating for millennia to a global industry worth billions, and most people sipping their acai bowls have no idea they're eating something that was fueling Amazon communities long before Columbus ever set sail. Okay, next one. And this might be the strangest story on this list. You know pineapples. They're everywhere. You put them on pizza, or you don't, and you have strong opinions about it either way. They're in your juice, your cocktails, your fruit salad. A pineapple costs, what, $3 at the grocery store? But there was a time when a single pineapple was worth more than most people's houses.
The pineapple is native to the region between southern Brazil and Paraguay. The Tupi-Guarani people called it nana, meaning excellent fruit, which honestly might be the most accurate name anyone has ever given anything. They had been cultivating it for thousands of years before Christopher Columbus showed up in Guadeloupe in 1493, tasted one, and essentially lost his mind. He called it the Piña de Indes and rushed it back to Spain as a gift for the royal court.
And Europe went absolutely crazy for it. The problem was, pineapples don't grow in cold climates. Europeans tried. They failed. They tried again. They built entire specialized greenhouses called pineries, expensive, labor-intensive structures designed to replicate tropical conditions just to grow a single fruit. And because they were so impossibly rare and expensive to produce, pineapples became the ultimate status symbol.
We're talking a single pineapple worth thousands of pounds. Kings displayed them at banquets. Aristocrats put them on their dinner tables not to eat, just to show off.
And then came the part that sounds like I'm making it up, but I'm not. In 18th century London, there was a thriving pineapple rental market. If you couldn't afford to buy one, you could rent a pineapple for a special occasion. People would hire a pineapple for a dinner party, show it off to their guests, and then return it. Some people just tucked one under their arm and walked around town with it, just flexing. The same fruit that Tupi-Guarani families in Brazil had been casually eating for centuries became the most pretentious status symbol in European history. It took James Dole and Hawaii in the early 1900s to finally turn the pineapple into a mass-market product. But the fruit itself, born in Brazil, spread by colonizers, turned into a luxury by people who had no idea the communities that grew it first never thought it was special at all. They just thought it was excellent. Nah. All right. Quick question. Where do cashews come from? If you said India, you're wrong. If you said Vietnam, also wrong. Those are the countries that produce the most cashews today. But the cashew tree, native to northeastern Brazil.
The cashew, Anacardium occidentale, is a genuinely weird plant. What most people think of as the fruit is actually a swollen stem called the cashew apple. The real fruit is that kidney-shaped shell hanging from the bottom, and inside that shell is the nut you eat. But here's the thing about that shell.
It's toxic. The shell of a cashew contains an oil that causes severe contact dermatitis. Basically the same reaction you'd get from poison ivy. That's why you've never seen a cashew sold in its shell. Every single cashew nut you've ever eaten had to be carefully extracted, usually by hand, often by workers in extremely difficult conditions.
Well, your favorite bar snack has a bodyguard made of poison. Think about that next time you casually grab a handful.
Portuguese colonists were the first Europeans to recognize the cashew's value. By the 1550s, they were exporting them from Brazil. Between 1560 and 1565, they brought the tree to Goa, their colony in India, and from there, it spread to Southeast Asia and Africa. And over the centuries, something kind of sad happened. The countries where the Portuguese had planted cashew trees became the dominant producers. India and Vietnam now grow far more cashews than Brazil does. Brazil essentially gave the world one of its most popular nuts, and then got written out of the story. Oh, and one more thing. The largest cashew tree on the planet is in Parnamirim, Brazil. It covers over 7,500 square meters, roughly the size of a football field and a half. A single tree, still growing, as if Brazil is quietly reminding the world. This was ours first. Okay, this is the one that's going to break your brain. You know bubble tea. Boba, the drink that conquered the planet. Those chewy little pearls at the bottom of the cup that are somehow satisfying in a way science can't fully explain. Those pearls are made of tapioca, and tapioca comes from cassava, and cassava is Brazilian.
Cassava, also called manioc or yucca, was domesticated roughly 10,000 years ago by indigenous peoples in the Amazon basin. It is one of the oldest cultivated crops in the Americas, and today it feeds over 500 million people worldwide. The Portuguese encountered cassava in Brazil and, recognizing its potential, began exporting it across their colonial network in the 16th century. They brought it to Africa, they brought it to Asia, and it thrived everywhere because cassava is almost absurdly resilient. It grows in poor soil, it survives drought, it resists pests.
The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization literally designated cassava as the agricultural crop of the 21st century. It is the third largest source of carbohydrates in the tropics, after rice and corn. But here's the dark twist. Cassava is toxic if you eat it raw. The roots contain compounds that release cyanide. It has to be carefully peeled, soaked, and processed before it's safe to eat. So the food that sustains 500 million people on this planet, it will kill you if you prepare it wrong.
The indigenous peoples of Brazil figured out how to process a poisonous root into safe food 10,000 years ago. And today, that same root, processed into tapioca starch, is what makes your bubble tea chewy.
Think about that timeline. A plant domesticated in the Amazon before the pyramids were built is now the key ingredient in the biggest drink trend of the 21st century, and nobody connects the dots. Next time you're sipping boba, you're drinking something Brazilian. You just didn't know it. Now to the last one, and I saved this for the end because it's the darkest. You've had an energy drink before, right? Red Bull, Monster, Rockstar. Doesn't matter which one. Flip the can around, read the ingredients. Somewhere on that list you'll find one word. Guarana. Most people skip right past it. Just another ingredient. But guarana isn't just another ingredient. It's the reason energy drinks work the way they do, and its origin story is the kind of thing that would get rejected from a horror movie script for being too intense.
Guarana is a climbing vine native to the Amazon, domesticated by the Sateré-Mawe people. Its seeds contain roughly 4 times the caffeine of a coffee bean. Jesuit missionaries in the 17th century recorded that Sateré-Mawe hunters who consumed guarana could go entire days without eating or feeling tired. But the plant's origin myth is what haunts you.
According to Satere tradition, a deity killed a beloved child from their village. To console the grieving people, a more benevolent god plucked the left eye from the dead child and planted it in the forest. From that eye grew the wild guarana. Then the god plucked the right eye and planted it in the village. From that grew domesticated guarana. And here's the part that makes your skin crawl. When a ripe guarana fruit splits open, it reveals a black seed sitting inside white pulp surrounded by red skin. It looks exactly like a human eye staring back at you.
So every energy drink you've ever chugged owes its kick to a fruit that looks like the eye of a dead child. Cool, totally fine. Not unsettling at all.
In Brazil, guarana became much more than an energy source. In 1921, Companhia Antarctica patented the formula for Guaraná Antarctica, a sweet, fruity soda that became the country's national drink. In Brazil today, it outsells every soft drink except Coca-Cola. People drink over 17 million bottles of it a day. Coca-Cola tried to crack the Brazilian market with their own Guaraná soda in the 70s. It didn't work. Brazilians didn't want the imitation. They had the real thing. But outside of Brazil, Guaraná took a different path. Its insanely high caffeine content made it the perfect ingredient for the global energy drink boom of the late 90s and 2000s. Red Bull, Monster, Rockstar, all of them use Guaraná extract, a plant that indigenous Amazonian people domesticated centuries ago, born from the myth of a child's eye, is now fueling all-nighters and gym sessions around the world, and almost no one knows the name of the people who discovered it. The Satere. Remember that name. So let's go back to that normal Tuesday. Your acai bowl, Brazilian. That pineapple in your fruit salad, Brazilian. The cashews you snack on at 3 p.m. from Brazil. The bubble tea you grab on the way home, the pearls are Brazilian. And the energy drink that got you through the afternoon. The key ingredient is a fruit that looks like a human eyeball from the Brazilian Amazon. Brazil didn't just give the world a few ingredients. Brazil gave the world foods that shaped entire industries, from a $2 billion superfood market to a global energy drink empire, to the biggest beverage trend of the decade. And then the world forgot where they all came from. Now you know, if this changed the way you see your next meal, drop a comment. Which one of these surprised you the most? I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe Awesome Food Tales.